24/7.
So, when you want to receive something fast, what's the first thing you think of?
24/7.
There's got to be things like McDonald's, Pizza Express, or Amazon Prime, right? Because all these services have something in common. They get what you need quickly. But when things are rushed, that's when things go wrong. And the experience for the daily user can be hindered if an Amazon Prime delivery isn't delivered on time because it was selected to the fast option, or even a Pizza Express delivery's pizza wasn't great because it was rushed. My point is, the iPhone 12 falls into this category, and this is exactly why I'm calling the iPhone 12 the Express phone. Let's get straight into my review.
24/7. 24/7.
So, right off the bat, the iPhone 12 is an amazing device to use in 2026 despite its age, and it's really impressive to see how well this device has been able to cope with having the iPhone 17, 16, 15, 14 and 13 before it, and for it to still perform on how it does, that is pretty impressive. Features such as MagSafe, 5G support and more make this a sturdy phone that you can use for at least about 2 years to come in the future, but features like battery life being poor make this battery or the phone fall back a couple of years in how it might feel. And there's so many things I want to talk about in this review, so instead of babbling on, let me just get straight to the good stuff. So first up, let's talk about the design of this phone. The iPhone 12 is made out of aluminium, which is really strong and on a day-to-day basis is amazing to hold and great to use. I can hold this phone comfortably knowing that it's made out of premium materials and feels premium itself. Unlike other phones where if I hold it I know, okay, I have to be careful, I have to wear a case because it might break. But with this phone I can probably have it caseless in most scenarios, and the durability because of the good design should make sure this phone is worthwhile. Yes, this phone is 5 years old, but here's a quick recommendation from me to you. Get an iPhone 12 and up. In 2026, if you're looking for a new iPhone, get the iPhone 12 and up. The iPhone 12 is a great beginner's phone for people who want their first iPhone and works great on a daily basis. But if you want to get an iPhone 12 and up, because if you get something like an iPhone 11, you lose things like MagSafe support, and if you get an iPhone 15 and up, you get USB-C. Get a good price for your phone, and hopefully have some spare money to buy some AirPods if you're looking to get into the ecosystem. But there'll be a video on the ecosystem about the Apple ecosystem and why I love it later on in the year. But for now, let's carry on with the review. Like most things, not the planning, the specs, or like what you do before you do something that matters, it's how you do it, it's the execution. And Apple have yet again executed a pretty good phone for the money in 2026, even though this phone was made in 2020. Of course, this review is in 2026, and we'll be addressing the phone in 2026 because people are still using iPhone 12s, and to believe it or not, iPhone X's, iPhone 11s in 2026, and they are fine for the most part. Look, in the past we didn't even have phones at all. We'd have walkie-talkies and things we'd use to call, which might look a bit foreign at the moment in the present, because obviously that was so long ago. But so we have to be grateful and realise that, you know, having a phone in the first place is pretty cool. You know, it is. Even as someone who's interested in tech, it's true. What I've just said applies to the Pixel 9a. Whilst it might seem amazing on paper, if you look deep into the specs, compare Gorilla Glass 3 to ceramic shield and potentially a bigger battery to the smaller battery with the iPhone 12, you might seem that the Pixel 9 is a better deal, but overall it really isn't. Okay, so let's talk about the screen with the iPhone 12. With the screen we have a Super Retina XDR 2 billion to 1 contrast ratio display, which performs well on a daily basis for most people. What makes this stand out is that it's got an OLED display. An OLED display is pretty much a much better version of an LCD display, which is found in the iPhone XR and iPhone 11, and that's why I recommended in the first part of the video to always go for the iPhone 12 and up to get the OLED display. But what this means is that when you're viewing content, whether that be videos, YouTube videos, or anything you like to watch on your phone, well, what it means is that it's much better to look at, and the blacks are much more deep and every color is more vivid. And this is definitely something to keep in mind when buying a phone. My top recommendation is to always go for an OLED display, as it'll be a lot easier to use the phone on a day-to-day basis. And with 60 Hz on this phone, whilst it's not amazing, it's definitely more than enough given Apple's very good animations, which means that it doesn't really feel like a 60 Hz phone, it just feels fast enough to use on a day-to-day basis. And the iPhone 17 is a lot more expensive with the 120 Hz display, so it probably isn't worth spending all that money when you can get this and some AirPods and probably an Apple Watch with that money instead. When watching videos on the display recorded in HDR, this really makes the display pop and it makes colors look more vibrant than it would on a non-HDR display or non-OLED display. And I really do like watching videos on this phone on a day-to-day basis. Overall, in 2026, this phone is great to use for photo editing, video editing, including the good performance and other things, which is really good to see in a price point or with the phone of this age. And considering it's almost, 6 years old now, it's really good that this phone is still usable and actually really good to use in 2026. So you know how I was saying that when things are done quickly, the end result is normally worse? Well, the caveat or the spanner in the works for this, in this sense, is the battery life. The battery life is questionable. Now, I'm going to do this unscripted because I feel like it's the best, so I get my feelings about the battery life out in the best way possible. But it's meh, you know. It's what I normally get 2 to 4 hours of screen on time with this phone, which is good enough. And I go to college now, and I'll do a day in the life of my college in a minute in a future video, of course. But what I'm trying to say is that I wake up at 6:30 every morning, you know, got to get early mornings in, and I use the phone until about 4 p.m. and the phone now with the new replaced battery just about lasts long enough. If I don't listen to music in the morning, and that means the phone not having to search for 4G signals everywhere and lots of other battery saving things by not listening to music in the morning, I can normally get through the whole day, so it's definitely a good enough phone. But I would say on weekends I get a lot more screen time out when using Wi-Fi at home. This is probably because the phone takes up a lot of battery when looking for signals everywhere, and sometimes obviously with new battery it's even better, and it's a lot better for me in my opinion with an iPhone 12. But what it means is that when you're at home and connected to Wi-Fi, it takes up a lot less battery, and that's great to use because I love using my phone a lot on the weekends to make videos, make shorts and upload them. So it's good that in a practical sense I can use the phone on the weekends in a good sense and in a good basis, so that's good. I always use my phone a lot more on the weekend to actually use the phone to its fullest and push how to see the performance, and I've seen that I've had good performance gains with the new battery. I've gotten about 3 hours of screen on time usually, but with the new battery I've got about 4 to 5, and that's really good performance in my opinion in 2026. I don't think you'll need more than 5 hours of screen on time, and this phone just about should be enough for most people. But if you want more battery life, if you're a pro user with 7+ hours, this phone is not going to last long enough, and you'll probably have to get an iPhone 15 and plus, an iPhone 15 plus even, or even an iPhone 15 and plus, as in and plus the other devices that there are. Make sure you guys stay tuned for my day in the life video, but in essence I've actually gotten about 6 to 7 hours of usage time with the battery life before I got on about 50%, which is really good, and that's using the phone very lightly, and I'm testing the battery every day, and the battery health is definitely decreasing less than my newer phone, my old battery, sorry, where it went from 91 to 79% in the matter of 2 months. So there must have been a very degraded battery since this is a used phone. Of course, I'm reviewing it the best way I can, but obviously the used phone means that the battery at the time wasn't very good. It's much improved now, and the battery health is a lot better. But in essence, you get a decent battery life with this, but it does kind of justify why I call this the express phone in the beginning of the video. Now, pretty much the main reason this phone is still technically relevant in 2026 is because of the performance. Comparing this to other handsets such as the Pixel 9a with a 10G4 chip and 6GB of RAM, I believe, and an A14 Bionic chip with 4GB of RAM, the iPhone 12 is still better in terms of performance when using it on a day-to-day basis, as you get more performance and you get much better gaming performance with slightly more GPU performance, and the CPU performance should be about the same. And that's saying a lot considering that the iPhone 12 is 6 years old and the Google Pixel 9a is only 1 year old. So it says a lot about how good a job that Apple has done with this phone. Whilst only having 4GB of RAM, it doesn't feel like the phone is lagging behind on a day-to-day basis. It makes you use the phone better, and actually, so what I mean by that is if you use the phone lightly on purpose to save battery life and performance, is actually a good thing, because it means you'll be conscious about how the limitations of the phone. If you have a phone, for example, with unlimited storage, 1TB storage, maybe 1TB storage, 8 to 12GB of RAM, and 18 or 19 like the new phones do, you have this need for having to have the best specs all the time, which in reality isn't really necessary. So sometimes having something that's not, that is quote unquote express, is the best way to go, because then you can spend money. I can get an iPhone 12 and get AirPods for the same money, and an Apple Watch for the same money of getting an iPhone 17. So it's really about what you need on a day-to-day basis, and really most people don't need as much as they have in actually every scenario. So that's another thing to consider. According to benchmarks, it only very slightly outperforms the Pixel 10, which is big. That's a massive statement from Apple. A 5-year-old phone is outperforming a 1-year-old phone. That, in my opinion, is extraordinary. It shows how capable the iPhones are still in 2026, and that you shouldn't look down on iPhone 12. Whilst the user experience on the Pixel might be a bit better, generally speaking, the iPhone 12 is still keeping up with some flagship phones in 2026, which in my opinion is a big step forward, and it definitely means that the user experience with the iPhone 12 is fluid and good to use on a day-to-day basis, and actually makes the phone better to use than some flagships or even some mid-ranges, so that's really good. To be fair, one thing Apple just cannot be beaten at is the ecosystem. Now, an ecosystem is a collection of products, and Apple have, again, knocked it out of the park with how well they've done in the ecosystem, and it's really been good about how it's really shown in the product. I've loved using my first iPhone in forever, and honestly, even though it's an iPhone 12, it's still great to use in a day-to-day basis based on the performance in 2026. But, and this is quite a big but here, but what I'm trying to say is that a product is only complete if there's a balance of good and bad, and the cameras is the one thing that makes this camera itself, the camera itself, and obviously the phone stand out. With this phone, we have a 12 megapixel camera, 12 megapixel wide and ultra-wide cameras with f1.4 and f2.6 aperture, meaning that you're getting a lot of light taken into the camera. This means that you'll hopefully be able to take some decent photos of this phone, whilst their resolution is nowhere close to the iPhone 17, iPhone 15, and iPhone 16, which have 12 megapixel plus cameras. I think the iPhone 17 has 48 megapixel, and that's a big step forward. You can still get some decent results. It's not about the camera, it's about the photographer. And if you put a lot of thought into how to take a photo, you still get really good. It's all about the soft skills that you build up over time to get the best result. It's not about the camera quality itself. And I've taken some great photos. When I'm going to my college, I really like to take photos of the scenery, and I've gotten some really good results with the iPhone 12. And it shows that really it's a lot. Just to reiterate, the photographer, the person behind the camera, like me or anyone who's taking a photo or video like this, is more important than the person taking the camera itself. This is a ZV-1, and it's still doing great to use in 2025, 2026, and 2024, and 2023, and 2022, and 2021. As long as I've had this camera, and it's still been great to use on a day-to-day basis when filming videos like this. So don't worry about the camera you have. Think about how you can take the best photos, and you'll probably be fine. But with this handset, with the iPhone 12, we do have some really good results, and I'm really happy with how the cameras have taken good photos. I'd say the style of the photos without photographic styles is still pretty good. It's a nice and cool environment. It's kind of the style that Apple have kind of gone for, and it's really shown when making videos on my phone, for example, even taking casual photos. You can really see that the style that Apple have gone for is very generic, and that's really good because in 2026, this phone still lags behind some of its biggest competitors, being the Pixel 9a and other phones and other iPhones, obviously. So it's good to see that we get at least good photos from this phone. Overall, in 2026, this is still a really good phone for about 2-3 years in the future. But if you can, get this phone. I would get this phone anyway, because there's this little trick. If you get this, you still have money if you were going to get an iPhone 15 or 16 for some AirPods Pro 3 or even an Apple Watch. So if you get both at the same time, you'll save yourself buying in the future. And this is a really good deal because some people, I mean, including me, I could not afford an iPhone 17, so I'm sorry, but the iPhone 12 is going to be my phone for the next 5 years. I don't care how slow it gets. It's still a really good phone, and honestly, it's really great to use in 2026. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe down below. Subscribe to my Shop by MTR channel for more behind the scenes content, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. Peace out. That's been it for this video. Peace.